Hey, what's up, my Woken people? This is your homie Woken Joe. I hope you guys are having a good morning, good afternoon, a good night, wherever you guys have been. And, well, today I wanted to talk about something that's been on my chest for a while. Uh, this message is for everyone, but mostly this is the message for the preteens, teenagers, young adults, and I guess grown adults that still act like kids. Um, man, so I want to talk about how how you grow up as a kid. Uh, some people are born different. Some have mothers, some have their fathers, some have only either or. Some were raised rich, some poor, some in middle class people, some southern country people, ghettos, and so a lot of people's upbringing is very different. But is there a time where you need to grow up? A time where you learn from right and wrong, you know from right and wrong, and to the point of where do you continue to blame your childhood on your life, and it's hard for me to talk about stuff like this because I know it's going to rub the wrong people, but if you guys just hear me out, I was born in the hoods. I was born in the ghetto. I was born in LA. I was raised in Compton, Paramount, Norwalk, Bellflower, Watts, South Central, East LA. I mean, I was all over LA, everywhere, Long Beach. And so, we had to grow up a certain way. I had an abusive father, and I'll tell my testimony some other time, but uh, yeah, I grew up with a abusive father, and so I was around gangs and stuff like that, but yeah, I was also around people that were going to church, and so I know a lot of people I probably didn't have certain things I had. I always grew up understanding that no matter what in life, there's always someone that's going through something way worse than you. Some people are going through drugs, child abuse, being raped, uh, being sold, and just all these wicked things that happen to people. And at a certain time, you start forgetting what's right, what's wrong. You start disobeying the rules. You stop just obeying what normal kids will grow up to learn not to do, and some become drug dealers, some become game bangers, some become, uh, just hotheads. Uh, there's some kids that fight it. There's some kids that they want to break those chains. That what happened to their parents and their family, they don't want to be like that, no matter what's happening in their life. And I applaud those people that are able to move on like that. But there's a lot of people that can't. And so, you know, a lot of these people, they grow up a certain way and they think at a certain time it's all right. I know growing up in the hoods, keen it with game bangers and all that, they used to always say, it's all about the barrio, wooty wood, and, you know, oh, when I die, I'm going to gangster paradise. And in my heart, because I knew the word of God already, I'll be like, nah, dog, you're going to be a gangster in hell. And that's just being real. You know what I mean? And it's hard to hear that. It's hard to say something like that. It starts a lot of fights, conflicts, and I don't know. I guess with me, you would think that when you reach a certain age, you just get tired of it. And there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of women out there that act like kids, dude. Like they be acting stupid, and it's like our generation is so messed up, and today's generation is so messed up. You would think that they can learn from people my age or people in their lives, but they can't because they're still doing childish shit. You know, I see women out there that be dressing like their daughters. You know what I mean? I see men smoking and drinking with their kids, you know, that are young as fuck with their homies and shit. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, and not saying that I've never done that, you know, it's not talking bad about them. It's just now that I'm getting more closer to God and I'm opening my eyes, I'm finally woken, you know, I see a lot of stuff that it bothers me where before it never would. Never would bother me, but now for some reason it just itches. You know what I mean? That scratch that you know what I mean? That itches and you can't scratch the shit out of it. And even when you do scratch it, it still bugs you. You know, and you know, I have a couple homies that just don't grow up, you know. They act like they're still in the hood and they're like 30 something. They got like 3, 4 kids and you know, they don't want to grow up and it's like, dude, like how is your kid supposed to learn from that? Like we should be taking care of our generations. You know, right now we're in the end times, and I do believe that today's generations and the next generation is going to be messed up because they don't have no one that's going to teach them about God and teach them about the word and what's really true and what's false. And because we have all these other people that don't want to grow up. You know what I mean? And there was a time in my life where I had just stopped playing games. You know, I grew up a little different. When I was a when I was a kid, I was living a teenage life. When I was a teenager, I lived an adult life. I skipped the young adult. I just went straight to adulthood, and I was already taking care of myself. You know, so it's a lot of people live like that, and a lot of people don't. But the ones that do, they just don't know how to, like, they blame their lifestyle or they blame their past on their actions than they are today. And even the ones that are clear minded, they just act like little kids. You know, even when you hear women talk about men acting like little boys, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of women out there that are saying things. They act like little girls. Like, dude, for reals, I ain't trying to go out with your daughter. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a lot of women out there that they dress like hoes. They dress like skanks, and then they get mad because you tell them that they look like a hooker. Whoa, well, you dressing like them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are on drugs and they blame it because their mom and dad didn't give them enough attention, or because they used to get whipped a lot, or maybe they didn't love them, but yet they have their kids and they do the same shit. You know, they beat them, they yell at them, and instead of breaking that chain, you want to act like a kid. And you get mad because your kid acts just like you. Well, because you act like a kid too. And so it gets to a point where you want to just stop that. You know what I mean? Like me, I would get tired of stuff. When I get tired of stuff, I get irritated, I get pissed off, and I do something about it right then and there because I don't feel like it's right. You know what I mean? And growing up, with all my homies up there in the hood and shit in Compton, and growing up with the homies with my primos and all that, you have to learn how to grow up. You know what I mean? Some people, it takes a kid. Some people, it takes their mom and dad kicking their asses out on the street. Some people is a life and death situation. Or some people, they just open their eyes and they realize that what they're doing is a waste of time, and then God opens their eyes and reveals the truth to them. And the first thing you gotta realize, knowing the truth, and you know what I mean, knowing the truth, and not being naive of the truth. You know what I mean? When you know the truth, you realize, you open your eyes, you're woken. And when you don't want to know the truth, when you're so wrapped up in the world, and like I said, you blame everything on your past and stuff like that, it gets to a point where the things of the world, it just confuses you. It conflicts your mind. So like back in the day, I used to kick it with my homies back in the hood. We used to think it was okay, and we thought that we run the fucking street. We didn't run no street. We didn't own no boulevard. We didn't own our avenue. You know what I mean? But we were there like a bunch of idiots, acting all dumb, because we wanted to be like gangsters before us. You know what I mean? We would hear all these crazy ass stories and think it was cool. The worldly stuff of how to make drugs, how to customize your own guns, and going to the chop shops and shit like that. Like that was shit that I used to do. You know what I mean? And so, you all the things of the world might seem so interesting, but it's because you're blind. Because either one, you're blinded, or you're naive, and you don't want to know the truth. You don't want to face the truth. But let me get to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. It says, so that we may no longer be children, tossed to the froze by the waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by humans' comings, by craft times, and deceitful schemes. So we have to trust. We have to be trusting and honest, but we can't be naive. We can't be naive of the stuff of the world. We can't. Don't be tricked, because just like kids, adults are unwise also, okay? And they get food. Adults get food too. I remember a time in my life when I was on drugs, and I would be fooled by the wickedness of the world, and the one thing that I regret, that I will never allow again, is letting the world take advantage of you. That's the worst thing that can happen. Allowing the world to take advantage of you, and trying to allow you to think this evil ways of it's okay, and it's not, is not okay. And so you have to be careful. Don't be like a child where you're easily manipulated, or how you can pick up a kid, you can toss them and turn them, and you can make them think all this stuff. Well, the Bible's telling you as an adult, don't do that. Like, don't. There's schemes out there. You need to open your eyes and realize that this stuff in the world is not what it seems to be, and you don't have to blame your childhood over that. You don't have to think, oh, because you hear about a famous person or whatever. Oh, well, they did this and that, and they turned out like that, so I'll be fine too. No, because you don't know what happened behind closed doors. You don't know what happened around the time people. Whatever happened between when it started until they're okay now, you don't know what happened between that gap. And so a lot of people need to realize that. So, you have to think like that, but it's hard because there's a lot of people that act like kids. They think like kids. Especially the tweakers. Oh my gosh, I have no sympathy for tweakers, even though I know I should be loving them and praying for them. But not because I used to be one myself, but I never acted like that. And so I used to be on drugs like for a long time, and I never act like the way they do. They act like kids, man. They act like I don't know, they're simple minded, or maybe they're just stupid when they're on it. I don't know. And it talks about it right there on 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 12. It says, my brother, do not be children in mind in evil, be as little children, but in mind be of full grown. Alright? Don't act like a kid. You're grown. You know from right and wrong. You know that. Okay, you know that it's time to grow up. It's time to go out in the world and realize that, hey, you're going to be deceived. You're going to be fooled. You're going to be taken advantage of, and everything that you're seeing is not okay. And I get it, because of what you've been through. You want to use it as an excuse, but I'm telling you, you don't have to. You don't have to show that to your kids or take it out on your kids. Let your kids break that chain. You got to break that chain for your kid. This generation is so fucked because we don't have parents out there nowadays to spend time with them, to go take a walk around the block, to go just have a one-on-one connection with them. And so what's going to happen is that their daughters or their sons are going to act like that with their kids, and becomes a chain and another chain, a pattern, a pattern, a pattern. And we need to open our eyes and realize that that is not the way that God intended our lives to be. You know, we know from rights and wrongs. It's just time to grow up. There's a point in time in your life, I know especially with me, where you got tired of the games, tired of the bullshit, tired of making the excuses, tired of allowing your past of your childhood just take control of you. And with other people, it might be different, where some have anger, anxiety. People are they react a certain way, but the ones that act like kids and blame it, especially when you know from right or wrong, I believe that, well, one, do you know why Catholics shouldn't baptize their kids, their babies? Because they're born without sin. All right, you will never find it in the Bible, and I will take a bet right now. Even though we're not supposed to, I'll bet $1,000,000 is if anyone can tell me or show me in the Bible that they say that they baptize any kid, I'll give you $1,000,000 myself. I don't know how, but I'll pull it off. But it does not say nowhere in the Bible that a baby should be baptized. They don't have any sins. And the Bible talks about that you know, we grow up, no matter how we live, we grow up from right or wrong from a certain age. To me, I believe that certain age starts at the age of 12. Once you're 12 years old and on up, you know pretty much from right and wrong. Some people, maybe 13, 14, you know, but I believe once you hit 15 and up, you know right from wrong. You know what to do, what not to do in life, you know, regardless how the outcome of your childhood was or how it is, you know. And even though you start acting wrong, you know in the back of your mind it's wrong, but you have that point of you don't really care. Well, there's a point in your life where you get tired of all that. You get tired of lying to yourself. You get tired of just the lies of life. That's what I like to call it, the lies of life. And when you're an adult, to me, when you're an adult and you're still acting like a kid, to me that's embarrassing. To me, I think you should get help. To me, I think you need to seek God. To me, you need prayer. And you know, you need to grow up. And I'm talking to all those people out there that don't want to be a parent to their kids, that want to stay on drugs instead. I'm talking to all those people that rather be busted instead of taking the time of spending time with your kid, instead of spending behind bars. I'm talking to all those ones that don't want to just grow the fuck up. I'm telling you right now, you need to grow the fuck up, because one or two things are going to happen. Either one, your kid's going to be a great success and he ain't going to have nothing to do with your punk ass, or two, it's going to be to a point that they're going to end up just like you, and you're going to wonder why you are tweaking it with your son or daughter, and you guys end up in jail together and being cellmates together. And that's just keeping it real. And I'm telling you right now that all you gangsters out there that or all you little punk ass gangsters that are in crews and high school and middle school gang banging, you know, that ain't the life for you, dog. I'm telling you right now, there's some shit that I wish I would never have seen in my life, but I did. And there's that stuff that I gotta take to the grave. There's a lot of real OGs, a lot of real homies out there that are going to tell you that this life isn't for you. Why you think they have those scare straight programs? Why you think they have kids going to juvenile hall and straight to prison? There's a lot of people don't even go to jail no more, just to go straight to prison. Is because this shit is not a game. This shit is not a joke. And realizing that you think you're just going to do your time. No, there's people that are still going to fuck with you. They're going to make you your bitch. And I'm sorry to talk like that. I'm sorry to be like that, but I'm just keeping it real. See, you need to understand that all this is not cool. And for you, the ones that have kids, there's a lot of people out there that wish they can have kids and they can't have kids. And they see punk ass motherfuckers like you, and that including you, the women too, that don't know how to grow the fuck up. What's going to happen is that there's a lot of guys out there, and a lot of women out there that can't have kids, wish they can have kids, but they can't. And they see punk ass motherfucking parents like you guys that don't know how to take responsibilities of your own fucking actions and want to take your childhood and take it out on your kids, even though you're saying that you guys are not. You are. You technically are, because why you think they're growing up so fucking bad, or they resent you, or they don't want nothing to do with you, and maybe you surprised because they're straight A students, but at the end of the day, they don't want nothing to do with you, right? It's because that chain keeps connecting, and instead of breaking that chain for our generation today, everybody don't think it's a big deal. And it's so easy to just send kids out nowadays, send them to adoptions and shit like that. But no, I blame the parents, because the parents uses the excuse, and it's sad. They might as well fucking grow up this day and age, since they like making up excuses. That's all these kids have nowadays are excuses. Why do you think parents can't even beat their kids' ass no more and set them on check? Because fucking there's all these damn laws of all of a sudden you're bullying your kid, and all of a sudden I believe in an ass whooping if it's well deserved, not just for no reason. But if there's a reason, of course, yeah, a kid should get their ass whipped, but not abused. But that's just me though. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of parents out there just act like they're kids. And to me, it sickens me. It really pisses me off, and it's sad. It's really, really sad. Because, you've been through that. I've been through that. Don't you have enough? Aren't you tired of living like that? And you're allowing your kid to think that it's okay when it's not. It's time to grow up, ladies and gentlemen. Ask God to help you with that. Honestly. Real talk. Ask God to open your eyes, to open your heart, to open your mind. You're tired of this bullshit. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11, this is what sticks with me when I was tired of the bullshit. This was actually the very first scripture that I read. The first time I was clear-minded and I opened my eyes, and I opened this book for the first time in a long time. It was the first one. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I have put away those childish things." You grow up. You grow up. You see the life that you have before you, and you realize, this is not what I want. That's how I grew. I woke up one day saying, you know what? This ain't the life I want for me. I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to kick it with the neighborhood. I don't want to kick it with all these people that just act like they love me and they don't. And what helped me went through that is Jesus. When I realized and opened my eyes that the only one that was there this whole time through all my pain and struggling was Jesus Christ. He died on the cross for me. I don't deserve his love. I'm a sinner. But yet he still loves me. He still knocked on my door, waited for me to open that door. and stood there in front of my porch with his arms wide open, saying that I never left you, that I never doubted you, I never talked bad about you. I knew that you needed me, but it's your choice if you wanted me. And it is my choice now. And God has opened up my eyes. God has blessed me in tremendous ways that I can only imagine. It's because you learn how to grow up and you realize you stop blaming other people of your problems and you just man up to it. You man up. So I just want to encourage you guys to wake the fuck up, because you know what? Being all those gangsters and trying to be all hood, it ain't the life. Trying to be a hood rat, trying to fuck every guy around, that's not the life, girl. You know what I mean? It's not about being a hooker. It's not about being a drug addict. It's not about being a game banger, knowing that nobody don't give a fuck about you. The only one that cares about you is God. So I challenge you to pray to God, to get him. If you're really tired of all the bullshit, you're tired of all the games, then I challenge you to tell God and ask God, pray. You don't have to be, you can pray in your mind or whatever, but ask God, you know what? Lord, can you please get me out of this? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being chained. I'm tired of being in this position that I think that I'm on or I own something, but really I'm not. I'm tired of the devil using me. I'm tired of the devil trying to make me think it's okay when it's not, Lord. I am a sinner. Please forgive me of my sins and come into my heart and walk with me in my everyday life, because it's going to be hard for me. But I know with you, all things are possible. Ask God that. So it's not about gangster paradise, because at the end of the day, it ain't about gangster paradise. It's gangsters in hell. And it's time for us to grow up. I thank you guys, and you guys have a wonderful day. God bless you.